Footballtribeug channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's good to be back. It's a beautiful Thursday morning down in Kampala. It's 9:30 a.m. Apologies, we are late today, but for the simple reason of why our broadcast was cut short last night, contrary to what we had hoped to do through the course of that broadcast. So, do please accept our sincere apologies on that. But yeah, we are back, and let's hope and pray that everything does go on smoothly, that everything goes according to plan. So, really, that's the prayer, that's the hope. For those of you that managed to catch us last night, people like Shireza Love, people like Metallurgics, and LFC, and every single one of you that managed to catch last night's podcast. Thank you so much for sparing the moment to be with us. Like I said, it was very, very unfortunate that we had to cut it short, or that it was cut short. It was an issue beyond our own control. By the time we regained, stable internet connection, it was long overdue. It was too late for us to proceed with that broadcast, so we couldn't move forward with it. But it's good that we are back here today, and we hope that we will get things done through the course of this morning and get to discuss some of the things that we missed out on last night. And so basically, the hope, just allow me to have audios tested before we get into the thick of today's conversation. Otherwise, it's one that I'm really, really looking forward to, and I hope that many, many of you do join us for the purposes of this broadcast. Then also, of course, like I said, Arsenal did beat up against AC Milan by 0-0, although they lost the penalty shootout by 6-5. It was a game that was bound for a penalty shootout, regardless of what the result had been in normal time. And I think that's the game we were trying to digest last night before we lost our internet connection entirely and things like that. So, but like I said, apologies on that. So it was a very, very beautiful game, a very wonderful game that we did watch. Of course, some players looked rusty, others looked sharp, others looked like their season had not come to an end and they just continued playing. I thought they were very, very good and noticeable performances from that Arsenal side as well as AC Milan. Particularly on the AC Milan side, I must say I was really, really impressed by Rafael Leao. He's a player that I've watched multiple times. I've followed for a bit of time. He's a very, very good player. My only challenge with him is that sometimes he's very inconsistent in terms of his output. He's that kind of player that can give you everything that you want in a left winger or in an attacker. He can dribble past players. He has the pace. He has the good shot. He has that good eye for goal. He can provide a good final pass and things like that. But he's one of those players that will give you 3 brilliant games, 5 brilliant games, and then he goes cold like that. Now, I do understand that even good players sometimes lose form, but for him, it's more like of an up-down kind of trajectory that he goes through. Where did you find in a season where he's been good, that if he played 30 games, that 25 of those he was really, really brilliant. So he struggles with that lack of consistency. And I do hope he's still of a very, very young age, or at least medium age, in as far as players are concerned. So you would hope that something can still be made out of him. But for me, that's what I struggle with when it comes to Rafael Leao. Very, very good on the ball. He has everything going for him, but sometimes he's just not at it. For example, for all the many seasons he's been at AC Milan, as many as 6 seasons now, when you look back at his best season was 2022-2023. That's when he scored 15 goals and provided 8 assists. That's a 23-goal involvement. He's never replicated that kind of performance, So that's what I'm speaking about when I say he's sometimes very, very inconsistent. So last season alone, he scored 8 goals and provided 6 assists. Now, you'd say for an average player, that's a good, it was 8 goals, 8 assists, a 16-goal involvement. For an average player, you'd argue that that's a good return on investment when he played 34 games for the AC Milan side that weren't that good, by the way, in the league last season. But I mean, for a player of his caliber, he should be at this point able to carry that AC Milan side on his shoulders, literally, and guide them forward and help them achieve certain things. He's 26 years of age. He turned 26 in June, on June the 10th, and in the wake of that performance, I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans clamoring for his signature, which is practically understandable because, like I said, he is that good a player. But when you look at his numbers in terms of goals, it's only 2 seasons where he scored 10 or more goals. That was in 2021-2022, 34 appearances, 11 goals and 8 assists, 19-goal involvement, which is good. Then the subsequent season, that's when he scored the 15 and provided 8 assists, giving him the 23-goal involvement. Then the subsequent season, 9 goals, 9 assists. Again, another 18-goal involvement. Then he declined last season with that 16-goal involvement. So he does post the very good numbers. On paper, they are very, very good numbers. But for me, for the kind of player that I know he's capable of being, if he were to be consistent, maybe also, if perhaps he played in a better team, you could make that argument. But I think he needs that little bit of more consistency. He needs to take matters into his own hands. And he's really, really capable of that. For me, that's what pains me. In small comparison, I would compare him to Joao Felix, 25 years of age, very, very good young player. He has all the talent in his legs. He's quite the dynamite, like I keep using that word. But he's not lived to that full potential. So the same is happening with Rafael Leao. Very brilliant player that has yet to reach his full potential, in my view, because I feel he's capable of even scoring 20 goals in a season, not just in all competitions, but in the league alone. He's capable of posting those numbers. He's capable of finishing a season with 12, 15 assists in a campaign. He's capable of posting those numbers for as long as he just is a little more consistent. But of course, perhaps maybe he needs, because when he does play alongside the likes of Christian Pulisic, who we did witness last night. Yesterday afternoon, he was in that game on the AC Milan side. Things did not happen for him really. So in typical Maximilian Allegri, he played with that sort of 3-5-2 kind of system, where you play with wing backs, where you have the midfield really, really compact. So he did have Pietro Terracciano in goal. He had Fikayo Tomori, he had Malik Athio. Then he had players like Pavlovic there in that back three. Then that midfield was packed with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Yunus Musa, a very, very good player, by the way. Samuel Richie, this one was recently signed, just played them this summer. Then he had Davide on the right wing, and then Alexis Selmakers on the other side, and then Christian Pulisic with Rafael Leao starting ahead. And I thought Rafael Leao did enough quite to trouble that Arsenal defense. A couple of times he managed to dribble himself past the defenders, including William Saliba. And then, but also at one point, he thought he had outrun William Saliba, but William Saliba managed to match him for that pace and deny him a goal scoring opportunity. So there were some good performances on the night, on the day, on the afternoon, depending on what the time was for you when you are watching this particular game. So then on the side of Arsenal, I thought they started with a very, very strong team. David Raya goal, for me, that was not expected, by the way. I did not expect that David Raya to start. I'd hoped, okay, in my probable lineup, I'd given David Raya to start, although I had hoped that maybe Mikel Arteta would have gone with Kepa Arrizabalaga and then substitute with James Trafford, because, I mean, we know David Raya has already cemented his position as #1 goalkeeper in that Arsenal side. But in the first half, he wasn't a Trafford man. He basically had practically had much to do in the game. Ricardo Carafiori did start alongside William Saliba. That pretty much we had predicted. Alexander Zinchenko did start at left back. Ben White was at right back. Christian Nogard, very, very impressive, by the way, looked comfortable the ball. His passing range looked really, really good. He nearly provided an assist there at the tail end of the first half, I think, or I think it was midway or around there, when he made that pass to Ethan Nwaneri, who did the half turn around the arc of the 18-yard box, before Ethan Nwaneri forced the goalkeeper into a save. Declan Rice also did start. When his socks off, I mean, box-to-box kind of player, he does, do that work really, really well. Gabriel Martinelli, who was a cold character in this one. Kai Havertz didn't really have much to do. He looked a little bit rusty, I must say, in my opinion. And then Bukayo Saka was quite impressive. And in fact, I think he was one of the two players that were substituted early on into the second half. So, and then eventually he's the one that scored that goal in the second half, as we will see the substitutions that were made. Ethan Nwaneri paved the way for Martin Odegaard, while Kepa Arrizabalaga came in for David Wire. Martin Zubimendi walked in for Christian Nogard, while Leandro Trossard came in for Gabriel Martinelli. Ricardo Carafiori paved the way for Jakub Kivio. Jakub Kivio did provide that brilliant assist that Bukayo Saka went on to finish that quite easily. And the way he slices that ball into that 16 yards box was simply impressive. It needed a simple tap to have it in the back of the net, and Bukayo Saka, with his smart moves, knowing when to make the run, knowing when to slow down the game, to stop, to take on players, to make a pass, he was able to make that quick dash into the box to tap that ball into the back of the net. Although I thought if maybe we had VAR, the goal could have been sort of magnified to see if there had been an offside position, whether he made the run a little too quick. But that notwithstanding, I thought, it was a very, very brilliant ball. Then Alexander Zinchenko paved the way for Miles Lewis Kelly, while Max Dorman came in for Bukayo Saka. Max Dorman, the youngster, only 15 years of age, but he really, really looked impressive on that ball. He didn't look a day, while on the ball, he did look a day under 20, really, and yet he's only 15, so was really, really impressive. Josh Nicholas, this one came in for Ben White. I thought he also did equally well. Then Mikel Merino came in for Declan Rice, while Mali Salmon, came in for William Saliba, and I thought he did really, really well. Then Wes Nelson came in for Kai Havertz. Now, he had sort of an okay performance, Wes Nelson, but again, he is the kind of player with all the talent that he has in his legs. Unfortunately, I don't want to say he's inconsistent, but because he's hardly played consistently, because he's oftentimes always injured, so he never gets that kind of consistency. But he never gets that bit of momentum to build on, to be inside the team for quite a very, very long time. But he did well at Fulham last season before he got injured. That they would love to resign him back. So Arsenal won that them by 1-0, but they lost out in the penalty shootout, 6-5. I thought the penalty shootout went well. Kepa Arrizabalaga, they are showing what he's capable of doing, saving multiple penalties, just pretty much as the youngster goalkeeper that was in that AC Milan goal. So, you had the likes of Samuel Chukwueze coming, Warren Bodo, Lorenzo Torarini there for AC Milan. And I think if that game was anything for the friendly, it gave Maximiliano Allegri a glimpse on what else that they need to do, on the things they need to improve on, the things they need to work on. Remember, he's a new manager just returning back to AC Milan, so there will be plenty for him to do going forward in terms of correcting that team, to make sure that they tick every box, to make sure that everything checks out for them going into next season. Otherwise, impressive performance from some of those Arsenal players. Then quickly, I do not think there's anybody that you would fault. excuse me, for an underperformance. But maybe, just maybe, Gabriel Martinelli fell short of his own standards, really. So, anyways, that's it at that. Quickly, let's run away from that and go to the latest from the world of transfers. From this morning, I do understand that Arsenal are planning Victor Gyökeres's medical and signing within the next 48 hours, contract until June 2030. Of course, the two sides did exchange final documents. They're still going over those. Again, it's one that has taken longer. It's one that is expected that they would sort of drag their feet. So really, let's just have to wait this one out. But the expectation is that this deal could be wrapped up by the end of Friday. That will be the hope and expectation for this Arsenal side. Then quickly still, Chelsea have already agreed to personal terms with Jorrel Hato. They are into negotiations with Ajax for the transfer of the 19-year-old left back / left-footed centre back. Very impressive youngster of a player, by the way, in Jorrel Hato. Guys, if you're just joining us, kindly like the broadcast, but also if you're new, consider subscribing to the channel and help us grow at 2,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Anyway, so they're really pushing for that deal to go through or to go forward. The player has informed Ajax of his desire to leave in the work of having agreed to terms with Chelsea. They are really pushing. So he would be expected to sign, I think, a very long-term contract at Chelsea. But like I said, Ajax want 50 million pounds. Although Chelsea, I hope that they can seal a deal for fees under that. Current discussions around 40 million euros around that. And yeah, let's just wait and see. He is a player that has been monitored by Arsenal for a very long time. I know they had wanted to sign him in the two previous summers. Then also Liverpool were interested in his services, although Liverpool's, I think, concentration on the Hugo ticket deal may have driven them a little offside. Maybe he's not their number one priority that Mark Gahey of Crystal Palace is, but Chelsea are moving forward with that deal. Then also Chelsea remain in negotiations, both with the player Xavi Simons as well as RB Leipzig to try and find, a final solution, because the player is open to joining Chelsea, but they are yet to agree to personal terms. They are yet to agree to terms with RB Leipzig on the transfer fee, but those discussions continue. Chelsea want to wrap those deals up and quickly, because they know there are suitors elsewhere that are interested in these players. For Xavi Simons, Bayern Munich are equally interested, although their primary focus at the moment is on Nick Waltmate to get him out of Stuttgart. Their last offers had been denied. Then they're also remaining in pursuit of Luis Diaz from Liverpool, so they are concentrated on that move as well. So, but they did make inquiries with RB Leipzig on what it would take for them to sign Xavi Simons, who has been at RB Leipzig for the last two campaigns, initially on loan and then permanently signed only in January for 50 million euros plus 30 million euros in expected add-ons from Paris Saint-Germain, although those add-ons are yet to be achieved. Now, because they are yet to pay that, that's why the expectation is that the player could go for around 70 million euros or slightly less, even though PSG have a sell-on clause. So let's wait for those deals and see how far they will go. Then at Real Madrid, of course, the expectation is that it is now official. Kylian Mbappe will take over the shirt number 10. Remember, this one was previously worn by the midfield maestro in Luka Modric. Then quickly, there's a lot of speculation revolving around Rodri of Manchester City, but I'll be telling you about that in a bit. Then Emerson Royal did open the doors to joining from Mingo, despite with discussions getting underway, despite his move being really in an advanced stage, or over a move to Besiktas. I think already He had been in advanced talks with Besiktas, but according to Besiktas president, he did decide for the club to leave Emerson Real deal as soon as Flamengo came in. It can happen despite verbal agreement done and medical booked for the right back. Flamengo have entered the deal. So now, again, this is what I keep saying, guys. Until you see a player, put pen to paper, carry that your club jersey, a deal is never done because it can be hijacked at any moment. Because Emerson Royal to Besiktas was a here we go. Medicals were both personal terms were already agreed upon. And then Flamengo swooped in and said, look here, we need you to come and play for us. And everything suddenly changed. So, and he's opened his doors to join Flamengo. So that's how quickly things can change. And that's why you see clubs try to desperately seal deals as soon as they can to avoid dragging things, because anytime an opponent or another suitor can swoop in and get the deal done. Then meanwhile, Benfica are actively trying to sign João Felix, with talks now ongoing with his agent. That's Mendes. A deal depends on Chelsea's conditions, but João Felix will leave and negotiations expected to advance soon. He's already agreed to personal terms with his former club in Benfica. Then Los Angeles FC have approached Min Sun. That's over a potential transfer this summer with the Korean superstar. Of course, Tottenham are open to parting ways with their captain. He's 32 years of age, so clearly that would be understandable. Although I still feel he has more to offer. He still has something to offer to this Tottenham side. He's one of the few players that has remained from that sort of quote-unquote prime era of Tottenham, when they were still under the charges of Mauricio Pochettino, that team that reached the finals of the UEFA Champions League in 2019 and lost to Liverpool by 2-0. Those goals scored by, I think, Mo Salah and Divock Origi. So he's still one of those few players that are left, because Hugo Lloris left. That was a goalkeeper. Hurricane, the captain, then left. Hugh Seung-min is one that has remained. You look at players like Lucas Moura was part of that. He has since left the team, and a good number of other players really that were in that squad. So let's wait and see how the situation will develop on that front. Then also, what I mean is, let's quickly go to, like I told you last night, Hugo Ekitike was confirmed as a new Liverpool player. That deal is done, subject to international paperwork getting done. That's usually work permit and things of that nature. But he was confirmed as a new Liverpool player, and he's expected that he will fly out to Asia to join the rest of the Liverpool camp. Quickly, when it comes to transfer news and speculation, Manchester City and England winger Jack Grealish, 29, is one of several left-sided players being considered by Napoli. Not the first time we're hearing this, but that's according to Corriere dello Sport in Italy. Then Real Madrid apparently are ready to make a £100 million move for Manchester City's 29-year-old Spanish midfielder Rodri. Now, please treat that figure with the contempt it deserves. Not that the player is not worth that, but if you're buying Rodri at £100 million when he's 29, after returning from that very long anterior cruciate ligament injury, is a bit of a sticking point. I do not see how Real Madrid pay that. They could go as high as 80. Like I told you, I think it was yesterday or the other day when I was telling you that Real Madrid are interested in bringing in a midfielder, and they are considering Rodri, Nico Barella, Alexis McAllister, as well as Enzo Fernandez. So those are the names that they are considering. So, but I do not see Real Madrid paying £100 million to send Rodri. And then Xavi Guerrero has rejected an offer to renew his contract with Valencia, with Manchester United said to be monitoring the 22-year-old Spanish midfielder. That's according to Marca in Spain. Tottenham are closely monitoring Kobe Mainoo with the Manchester United midfielder yet to agree to a new long-term contract extension, which expires in summer of 2027. Again, negotiations with Kobe Mino over a new contract ones that have dragged on. Apparently, the player is asking for significantly higher wages as opposed to what as opposed to what Manchester United are willing to offer him. Still very young, only 18 years of age, really. Then also West Ham will rival Everton in the race to sign Douglas Luiz. That's according to the Sun, but I mean, none of them has firmed up that interest. While Atlanta plan to make a move for Liverpool and Italian winger Federico Chiesa, that's according to Football Italia. Still 27 years of age, if Juventus meet their 50 million euro asking valuation for Ademola Lookman. That deal is not yet wrapped up. Remember, Inter Milan are the ones, primary candidates that are interested in signing Ademola Lookman, but their initial, attempt to sign him for about 40 million euros were rebuffed or rejected. West Ham are in talks with Callum Wilson over free transfer following the 33-year-old England striker's release from Newcastle. Now, again, West Ham, I practically do not understand this kind of move. You've let go of, aging players, Lucas Fabianski, you're letting go of the Carl Antonio. Yes, of course, he's still using the West Ham resources to... Guys, please like the broadcast. Yes, of course, he's still using the West Ham resources to train in the work of recovering from his injuries from that car accident that saw him break his legs and things of that nature. But, I mean, last summer, I think it was last summer, when there was scam in signing Nicholas Fluke for, what, 30 million pounds, and it's not worked out, then you're going for 33-year-old Cam Wilson. No, you can do better. Get a prime striker, it may not be an Alexander Isak, but he can do better. I know you tried it out with Ivan Ferguson and it did not work out, but try and get a better striker than Cam Wilson, really. You deserve better. Gerard Bowen deserves to play with better players, and improve on his productivity. I mean, I do not know. Look around. Maybe go and convince Chelsea to sign what's his name, Mark Gui, the striker that is at Chelsea. Go to Strasbourg and try to tempt them into selling you Emmanuel Emega. I mean, look around and find a young striker somewhere, or a player that is capable of, scoring some goals. Not Callum Wilson. I do not think he still has it in him. I feel he's rusty. I've watched him a couple of times, slotting for Alexander Isak, and he looked a much downgrade of the 25-year-old Swedish international. Now what? Turning 26. That's Alexander Isak. But anyways, then RB Leipzig have named attacking midfielder Xavi Simons in their training camp squad, despite the 22-year-old being linked to the move to Chelsea and the Dutch international holding talks over personal terms with the Blues. Like I told you, those terms are yet to be agreed. That's according to the Standard. Meanwhile, Borussia Dortmund are interested in signing 20-year-old Brighton midfielder Facundo Benanote, the Argentine international, spent last season on loan at Leicester City and has 3 years left to his current contract. That's according to Sky Sports. Talks between Marseille, that's Olympic Marseille, and Feyenoord over Brazilian winger Igor Piaxo set to at the standstill after the French club's 24 million bid fell short of the asking price. Kaiser, is that Kaiser FC? Hi, how are you? Good to have you on the broadcast. Good morning. Where are you joining us from? Kaiser FC. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly by now, Kaiser. But it's good to have you on the broadcast. Then also, Leeds remain hopeful of signing 25-year-old Yorkshire. Apologies. That was, underwritten. But attached midfielder Hakan Chananolu says he doesn't want to move to Italy. He's happy at Inter Milan, still 31 years of age. Those are the kinds of players that you do find. Kaiser asks Messi or Cristiano, both legends of the game. That's what I'll say. Very brilliant players that have dominated the game for the last 15 years or so. and they continue to deliver on their respective fronts. I was checking, and Lionel Messi had scored what, 6 braces in so far in the last 7, 8 games. When you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, still posting more than 20 goals a season in the Saudi Pro League. I mean, at the age of 40, Messi recently turned 38 during the course of the FIFA Club World Cup, and yet he still has it, you know. So both great players of the game. So for me, it doesn't boil down to a choice of one of either, because they are both astronomically very, very good players or gifted players, legends of the game. Zidane or Ronaldinho, I'm a bit biased on that one because Ronaldinho is my favorite player of all time. So I'm a bit biased on that one, but Zidane was equally legendary, very, very brilliant. I know a colleague of mine who does this kind of job, although for him he does it on radio. He calls himself the Lost Brazilian on X. For him, Zidane is his favorite player of all time, or greatest player of all time. And yet for me, it was Ronaldinho Gaucho, the assist Moreira. I mean, the things he could do with that ball, I've not seen any other player do them. I know the likes of Okocha were doing them, the likes of Romario, then Ronaldo Nazario Darima, but Ronaldinho for me was in his own class when it came to football entertainment. So thank you so much, Kaiser. Thank you so much. So meanwhile, Manchester City want to keep Ederson Morales despite interest from Galatasaray expressing, wanting to sign the 31-year-old, goalkeeper. Now Manchester City want to sign back James Trafford from Burnley, but they need to lose one of Ederson Morales or Stefan Ortega. So which one will it be? And meanwhile, Newcastle are also interested in signing James Trafford, but again, their negotiations for him have dragged on for ages. I do not know why that is the case, but Newcastle have struggled to land their primary targets, and I've been trying to understand particularly why. But one of the reasons is because they live in the far north, where it's oftentimes more cold and less attractive from cities like Liverpool, in comparison to Manchester, in cities like Birmingham, in cities like London. So that could be one of the reasons. But they missed out on many of their primary targets, the likes of João Pedro. They missed out on Liam Delap. They could miss out on on James Trafford. They managed to get Anthony Elanga, but they missed out on Hugo Ekitike, who is chosen Liverpool over them. The other player they're trying to pursue is Mark Gahey from Crystal Palace. Again, they've not made any significant progress in their pursuit for him. Tottenham is also yet to land his services. He remains, despite the player entering the final year of this contract, and things of that nature, really. So, anyways, let's just wait and see. But Newcastle are struggling to protect players. I also struggle to wonder whether Ed Howe does not have that big of a pool in comparison to other managers, because usually if it boils down to for you to going, let's say, to play for, yes, they also missed out on Brian Mbeumo, but for Brian Mbeumo, it simply boiled down to, I want to play for my childhood dream club, and that was Manchester United, regardless of whatever situation anyone thought Manchester United were in, because Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle, Arsenal were all interested in signing Brian Mbeumo, but he chose Manchester United over anybody else. And then Fulham are confident of keeping academy midfielder Seth Widgeon, despite Manchester United, Liverpool, and Chelsea showing interest in the 16-year-old England under-17 captain. That's according to the Standard. So, yeah. So, but when it comes to Newcastle, they are really, really struggling to land the services of their primary targets in as far as this transfer window is concerned. But yeah, those are the challenges of coming from that kind of region. I was reading somewhere, and apparently some players would want to play for Newcastle if they are not living within the city. But you could imagine. And then remember, Newcastle considered having their training ground away from Newcastle. I think they wanted to put it in London or something. Again, it all boils down to that maybe the weather and everything to do with that. They want more favorable conditions. But let's wait and see if the Saudis will make that common. Then Ipswich Town have confirmed, the signing of Ashley Young as a free agent. He completed his medicals yesterday, so he is now a new Ipswich Town player. Then Marcus Rashford was equally officially unveiled as a new Barcelona player. He will don the jersey number 14, formerly worn by players like Thierry Henry, who was part of that Barcelona side that pit up against Manchester United in the 2009 final by 2-0 to win the UEFA Champions League title. So then he talked about Manchester United, saying the situation with Manchester United is the club is in a period of change, and they have been for a while. I do not have anything bad to say about the club. It has been an important part not just of my career but my life. So those were some of his comments. Adding on that to say, but like life, not everything goes as simple as you thought. And this is my next chapter, and I'm fully focused on improving myself and helping the team win trophies. I have nothing bad to say about United. I wish them all the best and hope they are successful in the future. So those were some of the comments as Marcus Rashford officially joined Barcelona. Remember, he's the first England player to play for Barcelona since Gary Lineker, who joined them in 1989. And still further on those comments, Marcus Rashford on trying to better Gary Lineker's goals record at Barcelona. He said, I'm here to show myself and my quality. It will be good for me to score lots of goals and be the highest scoring British player for Barcelona, but it's more important to win. So again, those were some of the comments from Marcus Rashford, who is joining Barcelona initially on a season-long loan with an option to buy for 30 million euros. Barcelona will take care of his wages, although he took a 15% cut on his wages. So looking like he will be on around 14 million euros per season from what we are expecting or from what we are hearing. Then quickly, still about Barcelona. Again, they've struggled to register players due to financial fair play rules. Sometimes you do wonder whether they will make the wage bill, but the Champions League is bringing in all lots of cash, and they are still in it. They won the La Liga last season, they won the Copa del Rey and the Super Copa Hispana, but that notwithstanding, their financial situation is not really yet good. They've been in stadium development that is yet to be finalized, but at least it's at the stage, I think, where they can play from it again. That's at the new camp. I think the new capacity will be in the region of 105,000. For the new capacity of of the new Camp Nou, new capacity for Camp Nou. Let's see if we can find that out. But yes, previously it had 99,000 seats, and now it's being elevated with an extra 6,000 to take it to 100 and to take it to 105,000. From the images we've seen, again, it's yet to be completed from the pictures I've seen, but they are working towards that. They are working towards that. So let's wait and see. But I mean, it's exciting for a player like Marcus Rashford to be joining Barcelona. Now, I was watching a clip from Talk Sport, and a couple of people are there. Of course, perhaps they are more well versed with the game than we are, but they were talking down on Marcus Rashford of how he doesn't deserve the move, of how he needs to read the move, that he should be driving the Range Rover as opposed to riding in a Rolls Royce and something like that. And I'm like, what kind of condescending talk is that? How do you tell Marcus Rashford that he doesn't deserve to be joining Barcelona? I know his last 2 seasons have not been great at Manchester United, but in 2022-2023, we're talking about a player that scored 30 goals across all competitions. In the Premier League alone, he posted a 17-goal, performance as plus, I think, 7 assists, to give him a 24-goal involvement. That's the kind of player we're talking about. He is not any much different from when Rafinha joined Barcelona from Leeds. Look at how Rafinha has gone on to deliver last season. And by last season, he had been an average player, Rafinha. In fact, there have been considerations that he could leave Barcelona, even though he did not want. And Hansi Flick walks in and he flips the player around and gets him delivering, assists, goals, arguably the best player for Barcelona for me last season, despite the outstanding performances of Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, Pedri, Gavi, Dani Olmo, Fermin Lopez, and all the others. Paul Kubasi, the goalkeeper Vokshek Szczesny, having come out of retirement to fill in for an injured Andres ter Stegen, and that kind of thing. But for me, Rafinha was everything for that sort of team, and his numbers say just as much. So I do not know if I still have a record of those numbers here. Let me see if I can press them down. Yes, according to some online sources, 57 games played, 34 goals and 22 assists. That's a 56 goal involvement in 57 games. So quite impressive. So you could say he's a little bit of a late developer by all kinds of measures, and he was recently handed a new contract, which will run until June 2028. That's Rafinha. So do not tell me that Marcus Rashford can't hack it at Barcelona, that he doesn't deserve the move. If he doesn't deserve the move, by the way, I've said this before, he wasn't Barcelona's primary target. The primary target was Nico Williams, but Nico Williams ended up staying at Athletic Bilbao and signing the new very long-term contract. Then they moved on to Luis Diaz, but they quickly realized they are not going to afford the kind of transfer fee that Liverpool would want for Luis Diaz. In fact, that was after Liverpool turned down a 67.5 million euro bid from Bayern Munich for Luis Diaz, and the expectation, according to certain sources, is that Bayern Munich hope to come back in with another bid in the region of 80 million euros as a total package to try and sign the Colombian international. So Barcelona assessed that situation and realized, look, we are not ever going to be able to afford that. Let's just move on. And they moved on to Marcus Rashford. And again, it's not out of the blue that they woke up and said, let's make a move for Marcus Rashford. No, this is a player that they monitored for quite a while. They had wanted to sign him in January before he ended up at Aston Villa, on loan. So he also admitted, he spoke to the manager in Hans Flick and said that was a very, very fruitful conversation. It further solidified why he had left to move to Barcelona as his dream move. Then the Rodrigo situation, Rodrigo goes at Real Madrid, that situation has not changed. There's a possibility of joining, multiple clubs. Now, PSG are the latest club to show interest in the 24-year-old Brazilian winger / attacker, and apparently they would want to add a winger to their ranks. That's Paris Saint-Germain. Now, I do not know, but I get the feeling that PSG are being a little greedy. But like Sir Alex Ferguson said, improve when you are at your very best. When you think you're at your best, that's when to improve. Because we're talking about a side that has Kivicha Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, Bradley Bacola, Mayuru, Gonzalo Ramos, Ousmane Dembele. All those are players on their books. I know they want to move on Randall Colomwani. They want to move him on and things of that nature. But anyways, it's Rodrigo. If there's he's the kind of opportunity side that if the opportunity arrives, any club would want to lash onto him and try to sign him. So I completely understand. Then Colorado Rapids are in talks to sign Rob Holding from Crystal Palace. He's still 29 years of age. I do not know what will happen with Rob Holding, but ever since he left Arsenal and joined Crystal Palace, I practically do not know what happened. He's been out of that squad. I do not know for whatever reasons. I seem to remember his career had started well, but I do not know what went wrong, and he was sort of pushed out of the team, like literally. But let's wait and see. Then, like I've told you about Bayern Munich, expecting to return with a new offer, up to 80 million euros. So let's wait for that. Anyways, guys, it's a 10:15 of 10 a.m. Allow me to wrap this one here. and wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much, Kaiser, for being with us. Every single one of you that was part of this broadcast, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this beautiful Thursday morning to be part of our podcast. For those of you that like the broadcast, for those of you that submitted in a comment, those that did not submit, those that didn't like, we still appreciate you. Those that do watch our broadcast much later after they're done, I would not take your time for granted. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Like I said, please accept our sincere apologies for last night. We ended that broadcast prematurely, but it was nothing within our own control. It was due to a breakdown in internet, service that that broadcast ended prematurely. Otherwise, have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.